have goals and you set them and I know you have a big project coming up here, but you always got to know where you're going. And if you don't, then things are a lot harder. So I had a guy that lived down the street, and his grandfather was very sick, in the neighborhood forever. And I went down. He says, "Come down so you can say bye to my grandpa." So I went down, and they were there, and they were giving. The priest came and was giving him his last rites. And at the end, he thanked the priest. And the priest put his head on his forehead, and he pushed down. And he said, "Denounce Satan." And there was no sound. He pushed down harder, and he said, "Denounce Satan." And he says, "My brother, why won't you do that?" And he says, "Father, till I know where I'm going, I'll piss anybody off." That's the last. The rest of this meeting, I'm going to be serious. Okay?
That's nice. That's very nice. Down to the end for the 12 morning of the other commissioners. The judge wasn't there at 10 after. 8, he was supposed to be there at 8. So at 10 after, he wasn't there. At 13 after, I said, "I've got to go, or I'm not going to be able to make the start of this meeting." So she's still down there. Apparently, Walter said that the judge did show. And they have now completed the swearing in, so she's on her way. Hey, you. Well, Brad was deal. No, I understand deal. Let the record show that a quorum has been established and there are 6 commissioners present. Can I get roll call?
Good morning, Chairman.
Good morning.
We have Carlos Lundstrom. I apologize.
No, fine,
Carlos
that's fine.
Lundstrom,
Here.
Chandel Cisneros,
Here.
Alma Tranquit,
Here.
No, that's fine.
Thomas Taylor,
Here.
Greg Hondas.
Here.
And me, here. Let me, before, so let the record show that I'll get to you in a while. Let the record show that a quorum has been established. If I could have Mr. Zach Quintero lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, we would really appreciate it. Thank you. Zach. You've all had a chance to look at the agenda. Is there any additions, deletions, If not, what is the pleasure of this commission?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
As presented. I have a motion from Commissioner Chenoweth. Do I have a
I
second?
second that motion, Mr.
Second by
Chair.
Commissioner Lundstrom. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously. You had a chance to review the minutes, the regular meeting of September 21st, 2023. What is the pleasure of the commission? Have a motion. Motion to approve the minutes.
I make the motion to approve the minutes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. I have a motion from Commissioner Taylor, a second from
I
Commissioner
second that.
Lundstrom. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Now we're gonna move on to an action item. Before I go on to this, the commissioner that was representing District One, Jennifer Sandoval, for reasons had to resign from this post, and we miss her very much. And I just want to thank her for her service. She was here, and she was doing the best she could, and due to circumstances, she couldn't continue, but she was gonna be very much missed. So she was our vice chair, and now, do I have a motion for a new vice chair?
Mr. Chair, I make the motion that we have Hilma Chenoweth be our vice chair.
We have a motion for Commissioner Chenoweth. Do I have any other nominations? Do I have a second on
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Chenoweth?
I'll second the motion, please.
Second from Commissioner Tanjas. All in favor? Can I get a roll call vote?
Commissioner Lundstrom,
Yes.
Commissioner Adams,
Yeah.
Commissioner Cisneros. Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Condos.
Yes.
With that, you are our new vice chair. Congratulations. I just want to let everybody know here that Commissioner Chenoweth is a great commissioner. I've been working with her since, I think, 2020, and she has a passion for what she does. I'm going to tell you this, guys. All of you employees up there and all the employees we have, that's why we take these meetings around the state, to let you know how much we appreciate you, to let you know how much you make a difference. And our employees, and we were joking about it last night, but our employees here at DOT, they're not here because of the money. They're here because they have a passion, and they want to make a difference. And we have the kind of employees that don't show up to work. They show up to make a difference. And we get to sit up here, and we get to do this motion and that motion. But any organization, whether it's a Starbucks, whether it's McDonald's, whether it's DOT, they're only as good as their employees. The employees will make you or break you. And our employees, thank goodness, make us shine. It's not us that's shining. They're the ones that are out in the trenches every day. And we're gonna get to some stuff later on when the secretary gives a report, because we're always working on things, on innovative ways to make sure that this commission is doing what they can. When we were coming here to District 3, and this is our last meeting for this year, and Commissioner Chenoweth said, we're going to my district next, and we're the last one for this year, because I'm saving the best for last. And I didn't take that too well, but I took it. And you guys, I used to go visit with some of you guys know me, and I can say this. I came out of District 4, then I went to the main general office, but it doesn't matter if I go to District 1, 2, 3, 4, we have one thing in common. All of you rock, and all of you do what you need to do to make DOT what it is. And so you have a commissioner here who fights for you. All the commissioners up here fight for their districts, but at the end of the day, we come together to fight for DOT. We're as I like to say, NMDOT strong. So with that, I would like, since this is your party, this is your district. I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Chenoweth.
Thank you, Chairman Adams. Since I am not as gifted as Chairman Adams in his ways of speaking, I actually have a little statement that I want to make. And I want to first start with Mayor Griego. Thank you so much for your hospitality and welcoming us into your community. And thank you to Mr. Jim Garcia and ACNM, as well as Mr. Brian Jones for the reception that we had last night. Thank you very much for that as well. But I just wanted to take a moment to say I've been a commissioner since 2020, as Chairman Adams said. And in that time, I've learned a lot. I may not be able to tell you what the difference is between a fog seal and a chip and inlay, but I hope I get to do that at some point. But I have learned a lot. And some of the things that I've learned is that I can more fully appreciate what it takes to build the road infrastructure that we all depend on to get to our destinations safely. I have also come to more fully appreciate the magnitudes of funds and resources and time that it takes to build that infrastructure. But importantly, importantly, I've really come to appreciate the men and women of the New Mexico State Department of Transportation. You all, as Chairman Adams said, rock. You are doing really hard work, at times under very difficult situations and at times under dangerous situations. So for that, I really want to thank all of you for your work that you do day in and day out. And I also want to take in a special opportunity right now, especially to acknowledge our District 3 engineer, Mr. Justin Gibson, and his team. If you'll allow me. Mr. Gibson is second to none in his professionalism, in his ethics, and his leadership. We are fortunate to have in this district the level of experience and integrity that he brings to bear for the benefit of the traveling public. I've been continuously impressed by his work ethic and commitment to best practices. Given the level of population density, commerce, healthcare services, and interstate travel in this district, I am not exaggerating when I say our entire state benefits from our District 3 engineer. Thank you, Mr. Gibson, for modeling public service at its best. Your example sets the tone for your team and for your colleagues, and I am grateful for all that you do. We should all be. Thank you. And I am done. Thank you.
I wanna continue. I wanna give a big shout out to Jim and ACNM last night for that wonderful reception that they provided. It was very much appreciated, and we really thank you. And now I'm gonna go down a little bit. I'm gonna introduce some people, and then at the end, I want you guys, District 3, to give them a big welcome, because I'm gonna introduce some people that are now gonna become part of our family. Because here at DOT, you know how we're family. We spend Christmases on the road and birthdays, and we do this and that. And I just want you to know that I used to ask this question: who has the most important role at DOT? Is it the IT section? Is it the maintenance section? Is it the payroll? And I'm gonna tell you this: it's like a puzzle. And if there's any piece missing out of that puzzle, we can't succeed. Every piece is as important as the other. So I just want to let you know that everybody is very, very vital. I want to introduce our new commissioner for District 1. She's replacing Commissioner Sandoval. Her name is Shandell Cisneros, and she's going to be taking over. And she comes from a family of engineers. She was going to go into engineering. She ended up in the 3rd grade teaching, and I'm going to let her speak a little bit about herself. She comes, her father worked here at DOT, retired here. He was an engineer. She's got 8 brothers and sisters. There's 9 of them, but I'm going to let her talk on that.
Hi, I'm Shandell Cisneros. I'm now in Las Cruces, New Mexico. I graduated from New Mexico State University in elementary education. I did go for engineering, but changed routes. I still have passion there though, so I'm very excited to join this team. I'm currently teaching in Las Cruces. I'm getting my master's in higher education administration, so that is also exciting. But like Mr. Adams said, my dad has been part of the DOT forever. My grandpa was part of the DOT, my great-grandpa. So I'm just excited to be part of this family and get to work with you all. I've already had a really nice, warm welcome. So yes, thank you.
Let's give her a deep salute. And then, I want to get to two other people, and actually three. And we have our new admin. Well, let me back up a little bit. We have our old admin here. Well, she'll always be our admin, Rashawn. And she went into a new job, and she won't be with us anymore. But now we have Christine Ian, and she's going to be with us. And we want to welcome you. And don't worry about a mistake here and there, because you know who's going to pick you up. We're all going to pick you up. And so, hey, that's what we do here. We take care of each other. We have each other's back, whether it's out on the roadway or whether it's in here in a meeting. So, hey, you drop the ball, hey, one of us will pick it up. So that's what we do. So, and then we have Sharon Cruz, and Sharon's been here for how many years? 22 years. But now she has a new role, and she's the admin secretary to Secretary Serna. And then we have Christine. She's our new PIO. If you'll stand up. And she's going to be doing the PIO for the whole state of New Mexico. And so we want to welcome you to our family. And what I'll do is, Secretary Serna, are you with us?
Yes, good morning, Chairman. I'm here.
Okay. When you get to your presentation, I'll let you talk a little bit more about the new employees. I just wanted to introduce them. Got it? Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay, and let me see if I don't have anything else here. So I think that takes care of that. What I want to do now is I want, do you have a list of the elected officials so that we can introduce them? We have our mayor here, and I'm gonna have you come up in a bit. And, well, we have Representative Garcia, who's sitting right in the front, who's a good friend of DOT. And we appreciate everything you do for us at the legislature. So I'm gonna be bringing you up soon. And I'm gonna turn it over to our deputy, which is Trent, and you can go ahead and introduce your staff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We do have a lot of staff in the audience. We're actually missing some of the staff there in Indianapolis at our AASHTO conference. But what I'd like to do at this time is we'll work our way down the table, and then at the end we'll pick up our federal highway. So if you'll just introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm John Gould. I'm Assistant General Counsel for the DOT, and I'm here in place of General
Mr. Chair, what I'd like to do now, given that a lot of names and faces aren't always put together, is, again, I know we have a lot of District 3 staff in the audience, but I'll let Justin introduce them when he gets to his District 3 presentation. But if we have executive staff or other GO staff, if you would stand up and introduce yourselves, John.
Good morning, everyone. John Romero, Highway Operations Division Director. Everybody, Rick, the Executive Director.
We'll work our way down the table if you haven't been introduced already. First, Mr. Chair, I will say the IT guys down at the end of the table and our PIO group, again, they do an excellent job getting everything set up. And this month it was a little bit different, having the secretary having to to call in from Indianapolis. It was a little bit of a challenge, but these guys have really worked hard to make sure this goes over flawlessly. So I want to thank you all for what you do, but if, just real quick, if you'd introduce yourselves.
My name is Carlos Ulibarri, Justice Support Manager.
And just one additional shout out, I'm sure that Justin will talk about this, but Kim did an excellent job filling in the transition, bringing Christine in, stepping in, not only covering District 3, but statewide PIO. So I really appreciate everything that you did for us, Kim.
And on behalf of the commission, we'd also like to thank you, Kim, and for the setup and getting everything ready here and everything. And you're always a go-to person, and we appreciate that. And again, our IT staff that's here, sometimes they go on, how do you say, unheralded, because they come in and they do all the stuff that nobody, they come in at the whole day before, and there's a big setup that happens, and they do a wonderful job, and it's very much appreciated. So, I'll go ahead and, is that it that you have?
The only other one that I wanted to recognize is Rodolfo with Federal Highway. I really appreciate the partnership that we have with him. I've worked with Rodolfo for a long time when he was down on the planning with the El Paso MPO and in that role. But I really appreciate our partnership with Federal Highway, and thank you for being here and representing Federal Highway.
Thank you. And I'm gonna talk about partnerships soon, and you're included in there, because without you, we wouldn't be getting a whole lot done, and we're gonna need you big time with all these projects they got over here, so with that, we'll start at the end with Commissioner Tonjes, and just introduce yourself, and we'll head down this way.
Good morning. I'm Gary Tonjes, District 2, which is southeast New Mexico.
I'm Tom Taylor. I'm District 5, which is northwest corner over the middle and down past I-40 into Torrance.
Shondell Cisneros, District 1.
And you all know me, so go ahead and
Thank you guys for having us today. I'm from, Grants in District 6. I live in the county that used to be Western Valencia County, so now it's Seabrook. Talking to some folks here, a lot of people didn't know that. We were part of Valencia County at one time, and I think, what was it, Chairman, in 81, we split off?
Yes, sir.
So again, thank you guys for having us. Appreciate it very much.
And just a side note on me, I started up in 1977 with my time now that I've been with the commission. I have been here 46 years with DOT. Before I go on and into the welcome remarks, it's a special day to be here, and we're getting into the holiday season and family, and we have Thanksgiving next week, and we want to wish, and I have my wife here today, and I'd like for her to stand up and acknowledge her, because she doesn't come a whole lot with me, because she takes care of the other end with the babysitting of the grandkids and all that good stuff, so I really do appreciate her, and it's special for me here too, because I have two very, very special friends that live here, and I grew up with one of them, and we lived 2 blocks apart. We went to school together, we graduated together, and how we met was that he was always copying from me. So one day I said, well, if you're gonna copy from me, let's be friends, and that's how that friendship started. So I like for Anna and Charlie Arianes, they're like our family, to stand up. They live here in Las Lunas now. If you'd stand up and. And with that, I'm gonna go on to the welcoming remarks. The commission is very elated to be here in Las Lunas. It's a pleasure to be here. We go to these places because just like Las Lunas, and it's not, at one point I would say you were rural. I don't think you're rural. I don't know, you're going from that rural thing, but it's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to see all the things you have going on. And Mayor, we appreciate you, and we appreciate the hospitality. And with that, I would like to bring you up for some, Mayor, if you could give us some remarks.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, and trying so hard not to say state transportation commission, it's in my mind, but as the Department of Transportation, but this deal with it because this is all the, I think we first started our project in Los Lunas, the Los Lunas corridor. I think it was the transportation commission at that time when we were first visiting the project. But in May of 2014, as my first 2 months of government, as mayor government, I think myself a little more.
Be careful what you ask for.
So, we set up a monthly meeting for the purpose of developing the interchange project in Los Lunas, which to entertain the Los Lunas corridor, or interchange. The project was part of a study that was done originally under Governor Richardson, under Governor Richardson's improvement program, if you remember that. We basically justified the need for a interchange, which was done. We met monthly, we've been meeting monthly consecutively since May of 2014. And originally it was by Peter and myself, village administrator Ray Martin, our public works director Michael Calvino, our consulting engineer,
I'm sorry, I turned it off. I apologize. I thought I turned it on. Our consulting engineer, Kevin East, and a village staff member, Christina Ainsworth, who's moved on to Las Cruces and works now for the county of Las Cruces. At that time, we were trying to vision what it would take to develop the program, to develop a project to go forward. And I thought, well, I'll have it done by my next election, but realized that wasn't the case. But from that original 5 members, we've grown with the addition of, with the help of the District 3. Justin, thank you, and thank you, Luke, for all your help in helping us move forward, and the Middle Rural County Council of Governments. We have been meeting monthly. Our last meeting was, I think now early November. We had 50 people present, including representatives of the village, but also the Department of Transportation, the Middle Rural Council of Governments, Middle Rural County Conservancy, the Corps of Engineers, the Fish and Wildlife Service, and it's amazing to see how a project that's visioning how complex it can be, and I give you all credit for dealing with the moving parts that you need to keep together. We are pretty appreciative of all the work and all the efforts of the Secretary. Serna, we do appreciate your consideration. Trent, I know you've been at his right hand. We do appreciate all the efforts. We're looking forward to a successful project in Los Lunas, and I think it's going to be something that's going to be very beneficial for our community. And hopefully it'll help us reestablish a new character for our downtown Los Lunas. Right now we're having difficulty with traffic, and like any other community, I'm sure they have their issues. But we need to be able to hopefully move the cross river traffic further south and will make our village of Los Lunas much more prosperous. I think it's Mr. Chairman, you noticed that we do have urban areas more traditional development, but also too we have a lot of rural areas in our community, which is I think something that gives us a unique character. I live in the northern end of the village, which is next to the East Letter Reservation, which is much more rural, and something a lifestyle that I enjoy. But also too, we have to understand that we have to have alternatives in our community, and with that comes growth, which comes traffic, which comes other opportunities. But Mr. Chairman, I do appreciate your efforts of your department and all your team members. I agree, it is a team that needs to get things done, and I really do appreciate your efforts in emphasizing communication and joint cooperation. We do appreciate it, and welcome to the village of Los Lunas. And if you need anything while you're here, please raise your hand and feel free to ask.
If you really mean that I was at Isleta last night, I might need a
Well, I can imagine that I'm sure they appreciate the contribution. Thank you very much. Also, just for the record, I'd like to introduce Council Member Cruz Munoz, who's with us today. And also, welcome. And I noticed also, too, that our State Senator, Greg Conca, has walked in. So just to recognize Greg. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And thank you for your hospitality.
Thank you very much.
So with that, I will jump to Zach Quintero. And I didn't see you when I want to recognize you, and not only recognize you for being here at the meeting, but along with Representative Garcia. I want everybody here to know that without these individuals who are out there fighting for every dollar every day, that we couldn't even be doing projects anywhere. And we come up here, but we can only act with the money that we're getting through the legislature. And I want to mention this because it means a lot, is that our employees, you have been very generous with them the last 2 years, and with their increases. And I remember, and having been where they're at, we live from check to check to check. So those increases that you have allowed them, and they've been generous, they're very, very much appreciated, and we would appreciate it this coming session, you could keep all our employees in mind. And I know you're gonna have a tough time because it's always a big thing to move monies and to make everything balance and to make everything work, but you have a hard job. And I'm gonna have you come up and say some words as soon as we figure I'm gonna have both of you come up. So with that, Zach.
Cabinet Secretary Cerna, Chairman Adams, Vice Chair Chenoweth, Mr. Mayor. It's an honor to be here with you today. My name is Zachary Quintero. I serve you and the people of our state, the beautiful home of New Mexico, as the Director for the National Hispanic Cultural Center. Now, why would the Director of the National Hispanic Cultural Center be here at the NMDOT? Pero somos todos gente, that's why. So I am here to foster collaboration and connection and open the dialogue between different government agencies, different nonprofits, different private sector communities, the connection to the National Hispanic Cultural Center, and let you know the incredible work being done. And here at Los Lunas, it's quite special to be here because of its history, not just within the state of New Mexico, but also within the entire shape of the Southwest. The story of the United States, as Senator Dennis Chavez said, is before Plymouth Rock, 400 years before. And it's a subject that I like to share here because it is a powerful lesson of communication and coordination among the diverse areas of the districts that the commissioners represent, among the people of the Pueblos, nations, and tribes, and our Hispano families, creating society side by side long before the U.S. government existed. And I'm sharing that history with you because NMDOT, I feel, is right at the center of it, because you connect our gente and our plebe together from different parts of the state. You make it possible for them to be able to access their families in the snow and the rain and every horrible condition we can think of. You make it possible to deliver the chile, right? You make it possible for the farmers from my home area of Mesilla, Doña Ana County, to carry over their hard work into profit. And the core part of that goes to the soul of our identity, which is culture. In many ways, having the ability to get somewhere protects a culture. And that's what this conversation is about, and that's why I'm so honored, Mr. Chairman, that you invited me here to be able to just share that the National Hispanic Cultural Center is working on expansion of coordination within that culture. We're starting the Legacy Project for the state of New Mexico. What the project consists of is identifying, protecting, and preserving the traditional Spanish language being spoken all the way from 400 years ago to present day in different parts of southern, central, and northern New Mexico, including the customs and traditions that have been going on in these areas. That's going to require coordination into some of the most remote areas of New Mexico, which requires us to work hand in hand with different government agencies and different families. And we know anything as New Mexicans, trust matters above all. Trust and respect. And being able to have the trust and respect of NMDOT will be critical for this project to be successful. Starting first from the Camino Real, all the way from southern New Mexico, into the branches of many different caminos in different parts of the state. So I just wanted to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for inviting me. I hope you all consider visiting the National Hispanic Cultural Center, and we'd be honored to host you because that is the home of our people. There is only one National Hispanic Cultural Center in the entire United States, and it's right here in New Mexico. Muchas gracias. Have a beautiful meeting.
Mr. Quintero, on behalf of the commission, on behalf of the commission, we appreciate you taking time to come and come before us today. And I'll be talking about this soon. Everything revolves around partnerships, and I just want to commend you and the other people at the Hispanic Cultural Center, because I hear that they're doing wonderful things down there, and you're getting around, just like coming to this meeting, and you're talking about what the center is and what it does, and so with that, we appreciate it, and thank you for being here this morning. Okay, with that, I'm gonna move on to public comment. I'm gonna start with Representative Garcia. How are you? Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Secretary, Deputy Secretary, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Harry Garcia.
My name is Harry Garcia. I'm a New Mexico State Representative for House District 69, which covers parts of San Juan, McKinney, Cibola, Bernalillo, Valencia, and Socorro counties. And the reason I'm here today, Mr. Chairman, is they did a study on the I-40 corridor from the state line in Arizona to Albuquerque, New Mexico, to make it a 3-lane. And what came out of this study, a lot of things were left out. You know, I represent on I-40, I represent Bernalillo County, Cibola, and McKinney County. That's the corridor that we're talking about. You know, a lot of things were left out, Mr. Commissioner, on this study. They're saying it's not warranted to make it a 3-lane. But, you know, Mr. Commissioner, like the people in Laguna were left out, the people in Acoma were left out. I asked the committee if they had a town hall meeting to address the issues of Interstate 40 and shutdowns all the time and accidents happening on it. And the answer was no, they didn't. You know, and it concerns me very much because, Mr. Commissioner, if you leave from the state line coming into Albuquerque, it's 140 miles. Over 50 miles of that interstate have no access roads, no frontage roads at all. So if there's an accident happens in that 50 miles, that's a third of the distance of the whole project. If you have an accident there, there's no way to go. You know, and if you look back at the records, you know, those highways have been shut down for hours and hours and hours. I've gone from, it's taken me 7 hours to get from Albuquerque to Grants. Or if you're coming from Gallup, you know, it's a process. You know, I have people calling me all the time saying, Mr. Representative, we can't even make our doctor's appointments anymore. You know, this study did not take into consideration public safety, number 1, emergency vehicles, number 2, students on school buses, number 3. And Commissioner Lumstrong has called me personally and told me, Harry, we can't even make our games because the highway shut down all the time. And these are concerns that we need to address with the public, not people that are somewhere behind a desk telling us how bad it is or how good it is, because it is not good. When you do this constantly, you know, I get calls constantly, we're shut down again. What's happening in the interstate? And if, ladies and gentlemen, in the interstate, 40 is the heaviest traveled truck traffic in the United States. And we're right in the middle of it. And, you know, this is an economic driver for the state of New Mexico. And when these trucks are shutting down all the time, they don't even want to come through here. They're going around Interstate 10 to get away from us. And these are big issues. And you know, the study was fine. There's a lot of goods in it, but there's a lot of bads in it too. You know, they want to do extended lanes for sections of Interstate 40 instead of making it a 3-lane. Because what it comes down to, Mr. Commissioner, is money. That's the driver, money. You know, the state has abundance of money, but, you know, I got an email from a Department of Transportation person saying, well, it's not warranted. The federal administration will not fund it because it's not warranted. And I don't know what we have to do to make it warranted, Mr. Commissioner. Because, you know, when you're out there, Mr. Commissioner, I did towing for a living, and I worked that interstate. And when you go out there and you see somebody dead out there because of what's happening on our interstate, you know, then it hits home. And you know, I'm not bad mouthing anybody on their study, but that study was not very well put together. And I don't know who did the study, but it's not somebody from New Mexico.
Representative, Commissioner Lundstrom called me on this, and we're not, we have, that's why we come around to these meetings to listen. And from what I understand, Representative Garcia, and I hope this is, I'm leading to at least a partial solution, is that we're in the preliminary stages, and everything that is in that book, it's all preliminary. We haven't committed to anything. I think that these consultants were hired and they were told to come up with some ideas, some concepts, some options, and that doesn't mean that we're gonna agree with them or that we're gonna go forward. They put them in that book, and I agree with you, we have to hear everybody's voice. But I think that it's all preliminary, and there's nothing in stone, and I appreciate you coming today to let us know that it's a concern, and let us know what's happening there. And so, as far as I know, and I'm gonna let Secretary Cerna speak to this, it's all in the preliminary stages, so we haven't even, like, seen it. I don't even think our staff has seen the book, but I don't think there's anything happening with it. And so I think we're all in just the preliminary stages. But I'm gonna let Secretary Cerna, Secretary?
Yeah, Chairman, I'm here.
Did you hear Representative Garcia?
I did, and as you mentioned, Chairman, I provided you all with an overview after we gave or not we, but after Parametrics, the contractor who did the study, did a presentation to TIER's Transportation Infrastructure Revenue Subcommittee on Monday in Gallup. And I think what we've all agreed that needs to happen is a broader in-depth conversation about the considerations that were given, the considerations that might have been left out, and ultimately what recommendations we want to explore further. I think when you look at the entire report and dissect it a bit, the reason why they provided a range overall of project cost is essentially to include a number of measures outside of just the 4 lanes, 2 in each direction. So a lot more conversations need to occur. I think that we need to be clear about the data and the statistics about the traffic counts there, what happens during the peak seasons, what happens, during the winter months. And like most things, right? I think we need to understand the process, trust the experts who do this, for a living, challenge them to make the right considerations, but come to center ultimately on what's best for New Mexico. And then, the challenging part begins, and that is funding priority phases of this project, in total cost upwards of $4 billion, depending on what's ultimately decided. And certainly being able to justify a project of that magnitude with federal highway is going to be paramount, because it could otherwise, tax the state, a lot of revenue over a 20-year period of time. So I look forward to working with Commissioner Lundstrom to have more conversations specifically in the northwestern part of the state, so we can be sure we get good feedback.
And Mr. Chairman and Mr. Secretary, I don't want anybody to take me wrong that I don't believe in the study. In my eyes, and a lot of people's eyes, things were left out, and people were left out in the conversation that needed to be included in it. And, I know it's going to be a long process. It's not going to happen overnight. But, I don't want this to get shoved under the carpet and say, well, we should have done it and we didn't do it. And, I get a lot of phone calls from constituents all the time. They even asked me when to put bathrooms out there. Because, they have to sit there 5 or 6 hours. That's kind of funny when I told them we can't put bathrooms out there. But the point is, that when you're stuck on that highway for 5, 6, 7 hours, it's terrible. And a comment was said on this meeting that they were having backups of 1 or 2 miles. I seen backups of 10, 15 miles out there on that interstate. A matter of fact, it happens quite often. And Mr. Secretary, I appreciate what you said. And the reason I'm bringing it up, because it's a concern. It's a concern to people. And I need to address those concerns. And I know down the line, I hope it happens, and it's going to be a process, Mr. Chairman.
Representative, don't ever think that you can't come over here and state what you need to say, because we understand that you represent constituents, and we represent those constituents too. And we want to make sure that everything that we do here is in the best interest of the traveling public, is of the best interest to the communities. and to make sure that we're doing what we need to do, not only as a commission, but as a department, to ensure the safety of each and every individual and to make not only their travels safe, but as pleasurable as possible. I mean, I was driving up yesterday and they were working on the lights here, and I was on that interchange here for about half an hour, and things happen, but we need to do the best we can, and we can't do it if we're not communicating. So thank you for being here today. Thank you for letting us know, and be a part. Be a part of the process. Come before us again. Get a hold of me. Get a hold of the secretary is always available to listen. But it was a concern, and when I heard it, the secretary had already explained it to me, and then I explained it to Commissioner Lundstrom, and Commissioner Lundstrom had a conversation with Secretary Serna. So I think it was just it was good that we all got together, so we're all on the same page, so that we all have the same expectations going forward. Does that make sense? And as always, we appreciate everything you do for us.
Mr. Chairman, and ladies and gentlemen, I just want my hats off to the secretary, deputy secretary, because they do a good job. It's a big state. We have a lot of roads that we need to take care of. And people address concerns, and I work with them. I'm the vice chairman of the Transportation Committee in Santa Fe. And I look forward to working with you people, and fund as much as we possibly can, because like you said earlier, Mr. Commissioner, the people up here, your workers, that's the backbone of the state of New Mexico. And we need to remember that, we need to take care of our people, and, I thank all of you folks in here for, being here today, Mr. Commissioners, Mr. Chairman, thank you for, giving me the opportunity to speak.
Everyone, as long as we're here, everybody will have an opportunity to come before us, because the minute we stop doing that, the minute we stop listening, then we shouldn't be here. We should be home or fishing or somewhere else, because this is a great responsibility, and we owe it to the citizens of New Mexico and everybody who travels our roads. And I appreciate, again, you coming here and giving us your concerns, because that way we all come together and we move forward together. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner.
Thank you. Senator, I would like you to come up and say some words, and it's very good to have you here, and we appreciate you taking time out of your day and spending it with us here, and it's always appreciated.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. My name is Greg Baca, Senator District 29, with which you are now sitting squarely in. I'm also the Senate Republican floor leader of New Mexico. I want to thank you for holding your meeting here today. I want to thank Village of Los Lunas additionally for hosting this meeting. Their visionary leadership in this village has led to the growth you see here. But we cannot do it without the support of commissions like yours. This rapid growth has been a strain on this community. I can attest to everything that Representative Garcia put so well to you. I have a business there on Highway 6, and when those backups occur, guess where they go? Directly onto Highway 6. And the lineups there are miles long. And so the relief needed by this state is incredible, especially in this area, especially from Arizona to Albuquerque. Looking back over the years, the number of car accidents, the number of fatalities on those roads is maybe not larger in numbers than some areas, but per capita, I think it would rank up there with almost any area. We are a small rural community in this state, as you all well know. Our landmass is great and our population density is low. And sometimes that means that representatives such as Representative Garcia, myself, and other representatives like yourselves, we have to scream a little bit louder, especially at the federal level, to get the dollars that we need here in this district. Because just the fact that there's not as many people here doesn't mean that it's not important. There are many, many millions of people that traverse this state on their way from east to west, and we have to recognize that. And therefore, dollars need to be spent, and I look squarely at the feds for this in this area. I want to thank Secretary Serna for his cooperation in this district and in the Los Lunas area. I know that himself and Justin Gibson, when I've called upon them, they have certainly been responsive to our needs, whether it be for our I-40 corridor project here or for our interchange project that we're working diligently on, as well as some collateral projects within the area of Jarales and others. So thank you again. I want to welcome each and every one of you, the guests, the staff, to Valencia County, area that I am proud to represent and proud to be born and raised from. And again, if there is anything that I can ever do for you in my capacity as legislator, citizen, or friend, please reach out. I'd be more than happy to do that for you. Thank you again, and thank you for the time and your indulgence.
Thank you, Senator Baca, and I want to echo the feeling that if you ever need anything from us, we have great leadership in Secretary Serna, and we entrust a lot of things to him. And he, everywhere I'm going, I'm hearing the same thing, is that he's accessible and he's accountable, and so accessible is huge. And just so that people can tell us what they need. But I want to wish both of you a good legislative session. I know it's coming up. I know it's only a 30-day this year. I would ask from the commission point of view that we have a government road fund, and that government road fund goes a long way in helping villages, in helping towns and counties with money that they wouldn't get from everywhere else. And I think it was right before the pandemic, we even had a big, we were lucky to get, I think it was 160 million, and that was divided into 6 districts, and that was fantastic. And then it's been going and coming. But just to make a point, because I've been here since '77 working, and I remember way back in the day, districts were getting $3 or $4 million each, and you can see that didn't go a long way. But even in Las Vegas, where I'm from, there's 3 major projects, one that goes to a hospital, one around the Plaza Park and everything, that wouldn't have been done if it wasn't for the government road fund and the money that you legislators put in there. And we appreciate everything you do. And like I said, our job is good because you give us the money. Everything revolves around money. If you have money, you can get things done. People are happy. When you don't have money, then people start, and you know how that goes.
I can attest to that, certainly.
So on behalf of this commission, we appreciate everything you do, and we ask for your continued support up there. And like I said, with the mayor that I was telling him, with these, like, government road funds, and in rural areas, you're not gonna get the federal dollars in there, because most of the federal dollars are going to the interstates. So these, what they call secondary roads, they depend on that money, and we do our own maintenance. We do our chip sealing crews and our heavy maintenance crews, and we go in and keep those roads going. But again, we are very, very appreciative for all the work you do, all the support you give us, and all the comments you come in here and give us, and the support. And like I said, we're a partnership. We partner with everybody, and we'll do it together. And so thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. And I know you're both big proponents of, and I want to thank all our staff that's here, our leadership staff, and I want to thank Secretary Serna. Any other comments from fellow commissioners? With that, we appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Mr.
It means a
Chairman.
lot.
And I think you can count on our continued support. It is a very demanding area, and a nonpartisan area, I will add. Something that we can all get behind is infrastructure within the state. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, is there, we have someone on public comment? Yes, come on up.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Commission. My name is Michael Jaramillo. I am the Public Works Director here at the Village of Los Lunas. Just so you know, here in the village, I oversee 5 divisions. I oversee basically our fleet, our water sewer, our roads, our wastewater treatment facility, and our solid waste. So I'm very happy that I'm not here to talk about trash or shit. But what I'm here to do is talk about our project, which is our I-25 corridor project. And as you already heard, It's been a project that I've been a part of for probably about 15 years. But I also want to introduce some other people that are actually going to probably kind of sum it up a little bit better so we're not taking so much of your time. But I'm definitely appreciative of the DOT. I've worked with them for many years. It's have a challenging job. There's definitely a lot of requirements with all these funds that we get. And we need to make sure that we continue to keep those funds in our projects so that we can get our projects done. I'm a true testament to the DOT as well as to those funds that we receive, because we have 5 major roads here, and they're all DOT roads. We have New Mexico 263, we have Highway 47, we have New Mexico 6, we have New Mexico 314. These are major roads that have kind of turned into business roads, our main streets. And so we definitely have a great partnership with the DOT. I know some of the staff that's in here that I work with on a regular basis. And I definitely know that the team that you have here at the DOT has been super supportive of the village. And I'm excited to know that we are going to have a new project, or we have a project, that will actually take us from I-25 to 47. So thank you for your support. But I want to introduce real quick Kevin Meads. He is our project lead and our consultant. He's actually probably been on our I-25 corridor project longer than me. I've known him for over 20 years. But he's been a part of our consulting agency who has helped us and assist us for the past 20 years. Kevin?
Chairman, Vice Chair, thank you. Secretary Cerna, thank you. What I wanted to do, I put out a handout for everybody, so it should be there at your place setting. For everybody in the audience, we put up some placards over there. We just wanted to take the opportunity, since you're here, to tell you about the project. We've been in front of you probably 8 or 10 different times over the years, but I know we've got some new people. Welcome. So I just wanted to walk you through the project so you'd understand when you hear the Los Lunas Boulevard that you know what that is. So as you sit looking at the graphic, I'm opening up to the middle. As you look at that in the middle, you're situated perfectly. You're right in the middle of that aerial photo that's in the middle. And as you see the corridor project on the bottom, on your left is actually on your left. This project is about a half a mile south of here. Connects us from the interstate down to New Mexico 47 and across the river. So I'll just walk us through it. I'll point over here because I know that's where people in the audience may be looking. But so on the left of that graphic, you'll see I-25. We plan to, with the Los Lunas Boulevard project, build a new interchange. So that'll be a diamond interchange, and then that will transition us into a 4-lane divided highway, so 2 lanes in each direction. We'll come down the valley. The location of this is right there by the the New Mexico Correctional Facility, so that'll help place you if you're driving down the interstate and looking. Come down the valley, and we're just offset to the south of the existing Morris Road. So if you know the area well, you'll know Morris Road's out there. That will become a frontage road in the future. We then come down the valley and we tie into New Mexico 314 where the Valencia County Courthouse is. So just south of us again here, about half a mile. As we cross New Mexico 314, that will be a new intersection there. It's already signalized. It will remain signalized. Just adjacent of that to the east is a new railroad crossing, which will be upgraded as well. So that's on the blue dot over here to the left and in front of you. Then we do a little zigzag there where we're trying to avoid some homes. We're going over near the village's wastewater treatment plant. And then we cross the river. So that is a substantial bridge. Through the development of the project, we've been required to span the river in its entirety from levee to levee. So we think that when we're done, that will be the largest bridge in the state. If not, it's next to the Rio Bravo Bridge, so it's one of 2 for sure. Do a little shout out, Bohannon Houston. We've got Kurt and Sean here in the audience. They're our partner on the project, and they're doing some of the road work as well as the design of the bridge. And then from there we go, and that's at the red dot on the exhibit. Then we continue to the east, again, 4-lane divided highway across the dairy, and then we tie into New Mexico 47 at Deal Road. It's 3.5 miles in total, and right now we sit at about an estimate of $138 million, a large project, one of the largest in the state. And We've got a few exhibits there around the page to help you kind of zoom in and look at the improvements at the major areas. But what's important right now is that we're at 90% design. We just had the review with the state. We're at the end of our environmental work. We're at the end of obtaining all the right-of-way. So where we sit today is moving forward with phase one. We plan to be done with the design at the end of this year. We plan to bid it out at the first part of the year, and we're anticipating construction about this time next year, maybe a little bit earlier. In the upper left of the center part of this again, and if you're looking over on the placards, it's the one in the middle on the lower left. That is phase one of the project. So what we plan to do in phase one is build all of the interchange, all of the intersections, that's 314 and New Mexico 47 in their entirety, the railroad crossing in its entirety, and the bridge over the river in its entirety. And then phase one will allow us to build one lane in each direction. So we'll build half of the total laneage. One lane east, one lane west. That'll conclude phase one. And then hopefully we'll be able to get funding to continue with phase two. We have that designed. We've trimmed down to build what we have money for. And with phase two, we'll add the other 2 lanes and a walking trail from one end to the other. And then that will achieve the full concept of the project. So I'll be respectful of your time. There's some other information on here as far as our timeline, which I explained, and some project objectives. But with that, I thank you. We've had great help from the DOT and District 3. So we would stand here for any questions. I've been on this project a long time, and once you're there that long, they kind of start to put you to pasture. I've got the next generation here with me, and Wyatt Karchner and Kayla Smith. So everybody's here to answer questions if you have any.
Fellow commissioners, any questions?
Yeah, Mr.
Commissioner Taylor.
How many miles was that again?
3.5.
And what was the cost of the bridge?
Cost of the bridge is sitting at about 70 million. Yes.
So your total cost was 140?
For phase one, yes.
I'm just trying to come up with a per mile cost. Wow.
Yes. Yeah, the bridge is you hit right on it. The bridge is a major component, so it makes the project a high dollar.
But still, the balance of the 4 miles is another 70 million, right?
Correct.
And I assume that's why it's being done in phases.
That is
because
correct.
of the cost.
Yes.
And let me just ask you this: what is, and I know it's all contingent upon funding and this and that and everything, but ballpark figure, what's the, by when would we want this to be complete?
In about 4 years from now, Mr. Chairman.
And it'd be everything?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just to get a little timetable.
And Commissioner Taylor, just to complete that picture for you, in that phase of that additional money you mentioned does include the construction of that full interchange. So that's another reason why there's a high dollar.
I mean, we're, what, 15 million a mile? I don't know, maybe it's my age. Just, it seems like what we've been facing lately in costs on all of our construction projects is just, it's hard to believe. You know, the 64 project we've been working on up in our portion of the woods, I think we had engineers' estimates of 43 million, and the feds decided it should be 56, and the bid was 73 or 74 million on the project.
And it's amazing because materials, custom materials is escalating every day. So I can only imagine.
Chairman, Commissioner, when we first came in front of you in 2014, the estimate on the project was 97 million for the whole project. So we feel your pain there.
Thank you.
Any other questions, fellow commissioners? Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Do we have anybody else under public comment? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Have you guys heard that before? So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and move on to our District 3 update. Justin Gibson.
Chairman, members of the commission. I'd like to do introductions, so if I could have, I'm going to do first my executive staff. So Kim Gallegos. Oh, even the shy ones on the mezzanine, we're going to get them.
And if they don't, they're not gonna cash in on some of the goodies.
So first, let's start with the district's PIO, who set up the majority of what we're enjoying today, Ms. Kim Gallegos. My executive assistant is Ms. Janae Gallegos. I have our assistant district engineer for maintenance, Mr. Barry Lytle. And I have our ADE of construction, Mr. Isaac Chavez. I have with us today our business manager for District 3, Mr. Jerry Gonzalez. And then in place of our ADE of engineering support, I have 2 staff members that are senior managers in the engineering, Mr. Greg Clark and Nancy Perea. So with that, I'd like the rest of our staff to stand up if you're in the bottom level and come forward if you're in the top level. Let's start with the staff on this side of the room to introduce yourselves and let us know where you work within the business side. All the District 3, if you stand up. I'll start with you, Desiree. You guys in the back. Now, why don't you kick us off, Tanner, from up there? A few more of you guys up there.
All you guys.
Chairman and members of the commission, this is our District 3 staff. I'm very pleased for them to be here with us today. A couple of shout outs I'd like to do as well as recognize Jim Garcia for ACNM for hosting us last night, and also Brian Jones with the Asphalt Paving Association of New Mexico for hosting the reception. Really appreciate their support of District 3, making this a success. This is about as close as it gets to home for me to host a meeting. I actually grew up in Nauvoo on a ranch that's probably about 40 miles from Las Lunas. So this was where my family came to either go to church or get groceries. So this is as close to home as it gets. It made my commute very short today. I think I only had like 6 miles on my truck staying at my brother's house, so that was nice. And one thing I'd like you to recognize with some of the members in our audience, you'll recognize that they have DOT hats. So just like what I was taught when I was young, you ride for the brand. And the thing that I'm most proud of is like our staff, that they actually have DOT hats, and we're very proud that we were able to recognize them. Those that are wearing the blue hats, those are recognizing years of service with DOT. So those that have them, the blue hats, we're looking at 10, 15, 20, 25 years of service with DOT. Those of them that are in the black hats, those are what we provide to all of our staff. And even though, you know, I know they get hats from everywhere, I'm very proud to see that they're wearing those hats today and that they represent the DOT brand. One thing that I'd also like to say is thanks to the mayor and the village of Las Lunas for hosting us. It's very nice to be outside of the metro area, kind of getting more to the rural area. A lot of things that you'll see in our presentation highlights either the challenges we had in Valencia County or the improvements that we've had over this past year, not just in Las Lunas, but a lot of things, a lot of action was happening here in Las Lunas this past year. But with that, I think we have a video, and I'll be able to stand for any questions. Good morning, Chairman Adams and members of the Commission. I am Justin Gibson, your District 3 engineer. I'm happy to be hosting this meeting here at the Las Lunas Transportation Center. And I want to give a special thank you to the Public Works Director, Michael Jaramillo, and Mayor Griego for making this Transportation Commission meeting a success. Here today, I'd like to highlight the building behind me, which is our new maintenance facility here at the District 3 campus that houses some of our crucial equipment that now has a home during the winter months. As District Engineer, I am honored to serve the past 3 years with our esteemed Commissioner for District 3, Mrs. Hilma Chinoweth. District 3 is located in central New Mexico and encompasses Bernalillo, Valencia, and southern Sandoval County. Although District 3 is the smallest district geographically, we serve the largest population of more than 910,000 constituents, which is projected to exceed more than 1.1 million residents by the year 2040. Within our boundaries, we serve 4 counties, 3 cities, 2 towns, 8 villages, and 8 tribal governments, for a total of 25 municipalities. Our District 3 office is located at 7500 Pan American Freeway in Albuquerque, New Mexico. District 3 has 4 construction project offices co-located at our Hilltop Project Office in Albuquerque. We have 5 maintenance patrols, each with their routes delineated on the color-coded map, including Belen, highlighted in green, South Urban, highlighted in red, North Urban, highlighted in blue, Tejeras, highlighted in orange, and Bernalillo, highlighted in yellow. We have 3 maintenance special crews, including servicing, structures, and environmental management. Collectively, District 3 has 957 interstate lane miles, 118 U.S. route lane miles, and 1,305 New Mexico route lane miles. For the District Engineer's Office, we have Mrs. Janae Gallegos, who is Executive Assistant to the DE, and Ms. Kimberly Gallegos, who is our Public Information Officer. District 3 is organized in 4 bureaus comprising of Mr. Barry Lytle, ADE of Maintenance, who oversees 81 staff, Mr. Isaac Chavez, ADE of Construction, who oversees 62 staff, Ms. Jill Mosier, ADE of Engineering Support, who oversees 31 staff, and Mr. Jerry Gonzalez, Business Manager, who oversees 35 business support staff. District 3 has a total of 209 positions, and we currently have 44 total vacancies with a 21% vacancy rate. District 3's 2024 budget breaks down with just over $20 million for operations. We have just shy of $60 million in current construction contracts, a contract maintenance budget of just over $11 million, field supplies of $4.5 million, signing and striping of $1.5 million. Lastly, our IT budget of $277,000. Highlighting the current construction project, District 3
has two bridge projects with Morales Bridge construction over BNSF Railways and Chiloli Bridge replacement on New Mexico 337. We have two roadway rehabilitation projects, including I-40 from Carlisle Boulevard to Louisiana Boulevard here in Albuquerque, and also Phase 2 of our Canyon project that covers Tejeras, Zuzax, and Cedillo on I-40. Since our last update, District 3 has reached substantial completion on 13 projects for a total of $135 million in various locations across the district. The map highlights the location of our substantially complete projects from construction and shows the broad dispersion of projects across the district and shows the support of our transportation project of all of our communities. The District 3 Statewide Transportation Improvement Program, or STIP for short, includes the New Mexico 14 roundabout intersection improvements, which had a bid opening on October 20th and is in the bid review phase. The anticipated cost is just over $9 million to complete this project. The I-40 pavement preservation project has been designed from milepost 182 to 184 and is in production. We will have a bid opening for the project tomorrow, November 17th. The New Mexico 500 Rio Bravo Bridge replacement is a top priority for us and will have a production date in late 2024 with proposed construction beginning in early 2025. Both the New Mexico 22 and the New Mexico 313 bridge replacements are currently in the design phase with outer year production dates of 2026 and 2027. The I-25 Comanche to Montgomery is in procurement for design, build, and has had a final selection team expected by the end of the year. Lastly, I-25 Gibson Boulevard interchange is also a design build project that has currently been awarded to a program management team who are preparing preliminary design. General fund appropriations for laws of 2023 include the appropriation of $104 million for the District 3 area in support of 7 projects, including 2 maintenance roadway rehabilitations, 3 local lead projects for Bernalillo County, City of Albuquerque, and the Village of Las Lunas. 2 priorities were identified for design and construction, including Rio Bravo Bridge and the I-25 Montgomery Comanche project, which received $45 million to financially constrain the project to progress the project closer to procurement. Prior year general fund updates include laws of 2022 with 4 maintenance projects and supplemental funds for District 3 Morales Bridge, currently under construction, Mesa del Sol Interchange, and Isleta Boulevard that has had a local lead with Bernalillo County. Laws of 2021 had 4 maintenance projects funded and 1 local lead project supplemented for Las Lunas Boulevard for the Village of Las Lunas. Laws of 2020 funded 10 maintenance projects for District 3, which have all been completed. The Transportation Project Fund is a funding opportunity for local governments with an appealing 95% state amount and 5% local match, which served 6 entities and projects for a total cost of $11.5 million. Our prior year Transportation Project Fund served 11 entities and 12 projects for a total cost of just under $16 million in funding for local projects. Local Government Road Fund, or LGRF, is another project funding opportunity for locals. Currently, there are 4 programs that have a 75% state amount and 25% entity match funding opportunity. These programs include Co-op, Municipal Arterial Program, County Arterial Program, and school bus routes. Collectively, the LGRF provided $5.5 million in prior year funding and $5.6 million in current year funding. District 3 winter maintenance update for the prior snow season was a total cost of $778,000 and included a total of nearly 39,000 lane pass miles. Contract maintenance provides major upkeep of infrastructure, and I am pleased to report that we were able to complete 12 projects in 2022 for a total of $7.2 million and 10 projects for 2023 for a total of $10.3 million. We still have a few 2023 projects that are in process and are showing our prospective or planned projects for 2024. Altogether, we anticipate completing 9 projects for contract maintenance. These projects are critical to pavement preservation of our roads, especially New Mexico state routes. Unfortunately, District 3 had its fair share of emergencies since our last commission meeting. This year, we experienced 4 major emergencies, including New Mexico 304, that had erosion on the north and south abutment from blockage that occurred from weeds accumulating near the bridge at the start of irrigation season. I am happy to report that this emergency was entirely managed by our maintenance patrol, special crews, and from help from the Middle Rio Grande Conservancy District. Then, in May 2023, New Mexico 6 experienced an emergency in which a sinkhole developed over the east side drain pipe. NMDOT staff responded to the emergency and were able to stabilize the area until a plan was formulated for permanent solution for the aged pipe crossing. An AUI was brought on to complete the repairs. In August, the I-40 channel suffered loss of section to the channel bottom and sidewalls due to an extreme precipitation event. This event occurred in an active construction zone, and as such, our response included debris removal by our maintenance staff and emergency repair to the channel, which included District 3 maintenance staff working alongside Albuquerque Asphalt. All repairs were made and no further loss to the channel occurred prior to the monsoon season. Our last repair was on New Mexico 109, where we had an erosion to the abutment that resulted in a hole to the pavement surface. This repair, like many of the others, was handled by our maintenance patrol staff and special crews to reopen the road. Of some of the awards that I'd like to make you aware of are some of the Paving Conference 8th Annual APNM awards that District 3 received recognition on. First, we had our in-place recycling treatment, which was a full-depth reclamation of I-25 just south of the Los Lunas exit. This was awarded to Crew 4316 and contractor MSCI. Next, we had New Mexico Urban Highway, which was awarded to our reconstruction project on New Mexico 528. This was for our District 3 Crew 4319 and our contractor Albuquerque Asphalt Inc. One of our newest additions to District 3 is our new shop facility. This shop includes more than 8 bays that will house our environmental and structured crew vehicles, with doors on both the south and north side, providing multiple areas to access the facility. And I'm also happy to say that this was our location that we were able to host our employee recognition program and service and safety crew awards. And now we come to your favorite part of the presentation, where we get to look at some of the standout employees for District 3 that we had over this past year. The 2022 Best District Patrol was awarded to the Belen Patrol. This patrol was also, in 2023, one of the hardest impacted by natural disasters. I'm happy to say that it was a great group of guys there in Belen that kept things together and traffic moving.
This is mostly of my crew, you know. The thing is that with the amount of people that we got, we try our best to keep up with this whole patrol. You know, we do all of Valencia County, and then we do some of Socorro. They take pride in what they do, and it shows up, you know, whenever we get these awards and stuff like that. So, you know, they like it quite a bit.
New Mexico Department of Transportation.
Now I'd like to introduce you to NMDOT's State Employee of the Year, Mrs. Denise Gahn. She has continued to manage the front desk and also serves as our dispatcher. Denise provides excellent customer service to the public and fellow employees. She is a great receptionist for our front desk and is the pleasant person that you meet when you enter our building.
It's the way I would like to be treated. Oftentimes there are individuals that come in, they don't know what to ask, they don't know what to do. It's usually about a commercial driver's license, and I have to break down, you know, what it is here that we do at the New Mexico Department of Transportation. And I do, how should I say, delight, and I will go that extra mile, and if it's something that I can provide for them, I will. I work with phenomenal people. That's what made it possible for me to be the Employee of the Year.
Mr. Neto Ray Terrazas is District 3's Supervisor of the Year. He was our project manager that completed New Mexico 528 construction project between Ridgecrest and Slate. Neto has been with us many years and has moved his way up the ranks and is now a project manager. Neto Ray provides great instruction to his crew and communicates well. I'd like to congratulate Neto Ray Terrazas.
Just try to do the best that I could do. Just try hard every day, learn every day, stay with it, stay on top, don't fall behind. It means a lot. It's a big accomplishment. It's a lot of hard work, dedication that's paid off and recognized. We got wonderful support at the office, a lot of educated people over there to help. When we're a team, it takes a team. And as the whole team is working together, those goals get accomplished.
District 3's Crew of the Year goes to our surfacing crew. The crew provided support to District 4 during the fire that took place last year. These guys worked weekends to help provide assistance and volunteered to help with supplies and equipment for the fires and the flooding events during this time. Great job to our surfacing crew that is our District 3's Crew of the Year.
And like you said, we are broken up now, but the thing is that this crew, they didn't really break up. What it did is everybody promoted out of that crew. Everybody promoted. So the one guy that's left there, Jeremy Martinez, he took over that crew. He took my old job. I promoted to a management position. Another guy got another supervisor position. Another guy promoted to another advanced position up in the canyon. It feels pretty good knowing that that whole crew of mine, everybody was able to advance and move up. That makes me feel good. Makes me feel like I was doing something right, teaching these guys, you know, the right path to take, you know.
As you can see from the presentation, many reasons why I'm proud to be the district engineer for District 3. It is really the staff that makes this place a wonderful place to work. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for joining us here in Los Lunas, and I now stand for any questions. Thank you.
In your district, and I can say that District 3 is a very, very unique district. They do things that nobody else does. And I know that you have 24-hour crews. You have crews that are out with the graffiti and other things because they can't be doing it during, there's too much traffic during the day. So you do things that nobody else does. A lot of your work takes place on Broadway and all those streets there, and I know now that you deal with a lot of stuff there now. So you have a great district, you have great employees, that goes without saying. And on behalf of this commission, we would like to thank you and each and every member of your staff, each and every employee, and let them know that, you know, a lot of times we do things and we know that money's not, you know, we're not gonna get paid or anything, but always remember that just a thank you can go a long way. And so, on behalf of this commission, thank you, thank you, thank you. And and never think that we don't appreciate you, we do. And if you notice our meetings now, since we've been on the commission, you know who we want here? Employees, because they're what makes it happen. And without you, like I said before, and I'll say it 100 times, and is that without you, there's not us. And so thank you. And I'm gonna talk when the secretary comes on. There's some stuff that I've been working on with the governor's office on safety. It's a safety measure, and it's a little step, and we're getting great support. And so I'll discuss it. So hopefully you won't leave till after the secretary's report, and I hope Justin doesn't send you back to work before that. But till after the secretary's report. Did you want to take pictures?
I would like to take pictures, and one thing that I'd like to mention that was in the report, you saw that for our legislative projects, Rio Bravo Boulevard did not receive funding. That'll be the district's priority project this year. We're, just as you heard, 70 million for Las Lunas, what they're looking at from levee to levee on a bridge. We're looking at about 107 million. So we appreciate your all's support in the upcoming season at the legislature to see if we can get Rio Bravo Bridge. We only have 5 bridge crossings in Albuquerque, and when our bridges reach the end of our service life, we have to do diligence to make sure that we keep those up. As you saw with a lot of the drainage structures, that was something late in the game that we had to account for. There's a lot of acequias, a lot of drainages that I directed the consultant staff to look at because we'll never have another opportunity. So we've seen a slight increase to the cost so that we can address those while we're doing that. But I know that it'll be very much appreciated by Trisco and the South Valley if we can get that funded. But
Yes, I'd like to take pictures, and I'll stand if you have any
If,
questions.
if it's fine, let us do, let's jump to the secretary's report. Right after the secretary's report, we'll take pictures and we'll take a 5-minute break.
That sounds good. We won't dismiss them, Chairman.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. And I want you to stick around because there's good news if you haven't heard about it already. So, it's something that brings joy to me. So, with that, is Secretary Serna, are you there? I can't see you there, so I'm gonna move over here, if that's all right with you.
Okay, sure thing. Just let me know, Mr. Chairman, when you're ready for me to begin.
This and this. And you gotta remember now, not only does he have to look for ways, he has to find funding. And during that funding, he has to go up to the governor's office. And, he's gonna talk about that stuff. I wanna really thank you, commend you, and I think the things, and I know that there was some bumps in the road. We talked about it, and we had to, do a lot of jiggling, but you got it done. And I'm very positive with that. Before you get into those, I talked about safety measures. I've been talking with the governor, she thought it was a good idea, I've been talking to Secretary Serna. La Bajada Hill is a perfect example of construction and people going 90 miles an hour through there. And it's rough. Not only that, and because we care about our employees and we care about the traveling public. And we gotta do something, and in that, we might come up with some more stuff. But if we can save a life or 2 or 3, I come back and forth from Vegas, and there's cars behind me on my tail, because they can't get to the other lane, and it's gotten bad. And so, if we can send all our employees home safe every day, you can get to your destination safe, we're gonna do everything we can, and she's very supportive about that. So with that, Secretary, I'm gonna.
Okay, thank you all for that. And Mr. Chairman, thank you for teeing up a few things that I definitely want to provide you all with updates. I want to apologize for not being there. I want to thank you for allowing me to join virtually. And again, shout out to the IT and comms team. They were working with me late afternoon yesterday to make sure that everything worked out really well. As you all know by now, I'm here at the AASHTO conference in Indianapolis, and to say the least, I'm ready to get back to New Mexico. For those of you that don't know, I was born and raised and still live in the Espanola Valley, which is known to the world as the lowrider capital. And here in Indianapolis, it's known as the race capital of the world. So suffice it to say, this town is way too fast for a guy who's used to low and slow type of drivers. But one thing's for certain, in talking to my counterparts from across the country, New Mexico is on the brink of going head to head with a number of challenges, from employee recruitment, retention, vacancy rates, major equipment needs, pedestrian safety, increases in crashes, work zone safety, just like you were talking about, Chairman. In fact, something that I've been, really, puzzled with is, a statistic that New Mexico holds that we really need to work on, and that is we're number 1 in the nation for pedestrian crashes. And I think that, nationally, you'll know that there's a trend going back the last, dozen or so years to see an increase in pedestrian crashes. I hear from, other states who have interstate speed limits of 80 miles an hour, and the struggle with trying to do things there that, can really address, traffic flow and pedestrian safety all at once. So, New Mexico doesn't stand alone, and it's good to be amongst others who are working on some of the same challenges. I do want to just send a note of congratulations, Mr. Chairman, Vice Chair, and Commissioner Tonjes. They went through the confirmation process earlier this week in Albuquerque with Senate rules in Albuquerque. I apologize. I think you all know I was kind of going back and forth between Gallup and Albuquerque. And just a quick funny story, I was down the hall from you while you were in Senate rules. And at the same time, I was on a Zoom presentation back in Gallup. I started in Gallup in the morning, went to Albuquerque. I was down the hall from Senate rules, and then I had to jump on my last presentation via Zoom. And right when I heard you guys were up before the Rules Committee, I walked out of this classroom that I was tucked away in, just to realize that as I shut the door behind me, I locked myself out of my own Zoom meeting physically. So I had to walk around the campus to find someone to let me back in. I apologize I wasn't there with you, but you all did really well. As you mentioned earlier, along with Commissioner Cisneros, who's new to the commission, I want to recognize a couple other folks. But before I leave that note, of course, both D1 District Engineer Aaron and I met with Commissioner Cisneros a couple weeks ago, took a trip down to Las Cruces and had a good overview and conversation with her. I think she was a little worried when I put down that 8-inch binder of commission policies, but we told her that we, of course, would do whatever we could to bring her over comfortably and help her in transition. So welcome, Commissioner. It was good meeting with you. We have similar backgrounds. We both started off trying to be engineers, ended up educators, and now are part of a really good family here at DOT. Again, our PIO, Christine Mihalsik, she joined, it's going to be about a month and a half ago, and has hit the ground running, really understanding the organization. I thank her coming from the city of Santa Fe, before that, the county of Santa Fe. Sharon Cruz, who's taking on a role not just as my assistant, but what I describe as being my right-hand person to really help manage projects that come to the office of the secretary from different angles, be it legislators, counties, tribal governments, municipalities, and her experience as a PM most recently with North Region Design, I think, is playing really well. And I want to thank her because she really kind of split herself in half for that first few weeks to be sure that the project she had on her plate didn't fall off. Christine, thank you for joining us also. She came from DOH, now replacing Mershawn as the commission's point of contact with the agency. I want to tell her that she's doing a great job already, but certainly we've appreciated that you hit the ground running. We know that your points of contact, it was Jolene and Mershawn were off doing other things, and together with Sharon have really done a good job getting through this first meeting. Just a couple other things, Mr. Chairman, I want to recognize. I see him from where I sit here. The camera, Frank Sanchez, he's the president of the ACNM board. Frank, welcome to the meeting, and thanks for being here. Thanks for your partnership. I'll be presenting tomorrow. When I land in Albuquerque, I'll drive straight over to a meeting with the ACNM board to give the contractors an update and overview of our legislative priorities, much like I did commissioners when we were over Angel Fire. And so I look forward to giving them that presentation, and then later on in the evening joining them for their annual banquet. And he may not be present, but I do want to thank Judge Chavez for swearing in Commissioner Cisneros, and of course Representative Baca, who connected us with him. So again, everybody was playing team ball to get us here. Into some of the meat and potatoes of my presentation here. I do want to thank Deputy Secretary Cooper and really senior management for working towards a reduction in our vacancy rate. When I came to the agency, for years we were slowly starting to see, an uptick in our vacancy rate, and that was really indicative of a lot that was happening during the economic recovery and during what everyone referred to as the Great Resignation. And so we're starting to see a downward turn in our vacancy rate, which is now agency-wide about 17%. And it's been really pleasing to hear during some of the district reports in committee vacancy rates as low as 10%, like in District 1, and I believe even in District 6. I heard that on Monday. And so I know we have our pain points, there's no question about it, but one of the measures we've implemented to better understand why separations are occurring generally across the board is the implementation of a real robust exit survey. So now we can actually capture data that is digestible, helping us understand what drives our employees to separate with the agency, and that's going to help us to really figure out where we can do better as an organization, whether it be leadership development, compensation, or otherwise. And so I really appreciate everyone coming together, not just to develop that survey, but take it seriously and implement it agency-wide. I do want to send a shout out to our ports of entry. They celebrated yesterday the grand opening at NMDOT's Raton Port of Entry. Is long-standing. It's been done for a while, but it was good to get everyone out there for that opening. And I look forward to seeing the facility myself. I know certainly some of the local leadership in Raton have been eager for us to visit with them too. While I was here, Mr. Chairman participated in person, and myself and Mallory Manzanares participated virtually in our FY23 exit conference. As you all may know, every year we undergo an external audit, and this year those audits were due on November 15th yesterday. And so the day prior, we sat and had our exit conference with our auditors, and I know you all are aware that we can't disclose the details of our audit until it's released by the state auditor, but suffice it to say that after our exit conference, Mallory went off and had a celebratory drink, which was all right by me, because in New Mexico, when we say it's 5 o'clock somewhere, they're typically talking to people like us on the East Coast right now. So I want to thank our finance team for how professional they are at doing what they do, and quite frankly, for demonstrating that DOT is a good steward of public resources. And this is where I send a shout out to FHWA as well, because as partners, they make sure that we operate within the lanes, and that's important for us. I do want to send a shout out as I give you an update to our aviation division. Our aviation division this last legislative session received $55 million in legislative appropriations to support municipal and county operated airports, primarily infrastructure upgrades from facilities to runways. And to date, they've done since July, they've granted out more than $37 million to more than 25 airports to support rural air service across the state of New Mexico. And that's not easy to do. And they've done a really good job getting that money out the door, supporting local airport infrastructure, and ensuring that as we try and grow, economic development for the state, visitors have access to us from, multiple points of entry rather than just our larger regional and airport in Sunport. As you mentioned, Mr. Chairman, we have been working with the Department of Public Safety, primarily state police, to address a lot of construction zone safety concerns that we've been talking about at NMDOT, and that certainly ACNM has been sharing in our sense of urgency. One thing that we've learned over the last several months from a couple of primary projects, like the construction project that we have on I-40 near Kleins into Santa Rosa, and from I-25 project with La Bajada, is that we are encountering what very simply could be referred to as a disregard for construction zone speed limits. And not only are we primarily worried with the safety of our workers and the safety of our contractors, we really are starting to see what the costs are, at least those associated with infrastructure replacement on an ongoing basis. You look, for example, just last week, if not the week before, we lost again about 100 feet of guardrail on I-25 on the La Bajada project. If you've driven through there, you see that some of the infrastructure that's been put up recently in the last 4 or 5 months, as we did the lane changeover to do work on the other side of the road, that we're already going in and replacing guardrail that has been freshly installed as a part of this project. We've had several crashes on the I-40 corridor as well, and going back over the past year, we've even unfortunately lost an employee. over in District 2. So what we've been working on is a project to install speed cams in construction zones to essentially create a climate and a culture among our drivers that that really pushes them to take construction zone speed limits seriously. The partnership with DPS isn't only for the purposes of issuing these civil citations, what we imagine issuing flat rate civil citations, but also because this is one measure along with enforcement in real time along those corridors to ensure that drivers are slowing down when they approach the zone. Right now, we are really relying on DPS, state police, and local law enforcement support to help us in construction zones, but that gets increasingly difficult when we're out on interstates or on rural roads. So we look forward to giving you updates on this measure. As you all know, the ability to place speed cams is very much the Commission's business, and so at some point, not only will we elevate this to you in form of an update, but we'll elevate it to you in form of an action item to essentially provision that through the program that we develop, we can place the infrastructure on the roadways as these projects become identified through a project selection process. And so we don't imagine that they'll be on every single project, but certainly once we set that criteria for when we believe they're going to be most meaningful and impactful for us, we'll button that program up and share it with you all for your consideration and request your approval on that measure. It's important to get our men and women home safely every single day. Lastly, you talked, Mr. Chairman, about a lot of recruitment, and this has been real near and dear to us. And again, I'm hearing from my counterparts across the country that employee retention, recruitment is a very difficult thing to do, especially in our essential work, among our essential workforce. That's the men and women who work out in our patrols predominantly. But we also see the struggle at the opposite end of the spectrum when we look at engineers in particular, specialized engineers, and everything in between. And so, I introduced some months ago kind of this 4-pillar approach to things that we were going to try and do to help our workforce realize that we were listening to them, that we were going to take measures to respond in so many ways. And, not only have we been working on compensation over the last year and a half, really even 2 years before I got there was a great big push statewide and at the agency to really address pay at the NMDOT. But we see that, we got to balance that with other measures, because if you ask Mallory what that change in compensation has looked like over the past few years, it's significant. And we want to be sure that we're also fiscally responsible. So the 4 pillars that we really worked on included a measure that supports work-life balance and the reduction of commuting from your home to your home base at work. And so we have completed a policy, a request form, and essentially are ready to roll out a program that we refer to as alternative work locations. The alternative work locations program helps us to utilize space across the state to minimize commute times for workers who will request and be approved for an alternative work location. We know that, telework and hybrid telework opportunities are really something that workers want these days. We know that we belong to a larger state system and that's not a program available to us. So we try to kind of, dilute that a little bit and create a measure that helps our workers commute less. We think that that's paramount, not only to work-life balance, but also as a carbon reduction measure as an agency with over 2,500 workers. And so what we'll do is leverage the offices we have across the state and open up the opportunity to our employees to request that they be allowed to work sometimes out of the week from an alternative work location, minimizing their need to commute to their identified work office. And we're excited about that. We know from teleworking that with good supervision, with good direction, and good expectations, that we can get things done. And so short of that option, we think alternative work locations is going to be a benefit. We will, as part of this program, ultimately work to purchase portable office units, in particularly in Albuquerque and perhaps in other areas where we don't necessarily have a lot of office space to lend individuals who request alternative work locations. But again, Deputy Secretary Cooper has done a lot to identify what space we do have available in various offices across the state. One of the programs that we already launched that it's so recently that it's hard to kind of gauge, you know, how well it's doing at this point, but we're hopeful, is an employee referral program. Our employee referral program is an opportunity for existing DOT workers to refer a worker to NMDOT. And if that worker gets hired, then we provide the referring NMDOT worker with administrative leave. I believe it's 3 days. And so if you know, you're out talking with your friends, your relatives, and they're interested in a position with DOT, you essentially direct them to the SPO website. In the application process, there's a place that asks where they heard about the job. If they click a state employee, they'll be provided with a space to list the name of the DOT worker that referred them. And then if they're ultimately hired, then the referring worker gets their days of leave. So we ultimately want to see this program elevated to translate those days of leave with cash. Nothing's better than cash, but we're still working through some of the wrinkles there, and hopefully we can do that soon. The other is alternative work schedules. You know, something that already exists for state workers is the ability to deviate from a typical 8 to 5, 5 days a week schedule. And so now we're really working creatively about what workers can do on an alternative to that 8 to 5, including 410s, including half days off that coincide with critical priorities outside of work, whether it be, you know, to take care of family, loved ones, kids, or yourself. So we are really seeing an uptick in requests for alternative work schedules that really help, again, support work-life balance in a way that, you know, we think is a good balance between, you know, working from home and coming to work and really building teams, you know, in person. So the alternative work schedule requests have been pouring in, and I want to thank managers, especially Deputy Secretary Doolittle, because I know in the patrols and on our engineering side that it's difficult to do that unless, you know, the entire group does that or the entire team or patrol does. And so implementing this carefully with the work we have to do on his side of our organization is tricky, but we're hopeful it'll be a measure for them. And then lastly, we're excited. We were excited at an all-hands meeting where we discussed all these programs to share with NMDOT that we have negotiated a longevity pay plan with our partners at AFSCME. The longevity pay plan is essentially a proposal, a program that allows NMDOT to reward employees financially for their continued service with NMDOT. And so as they reach milestones beginning in year 2, the amount of money they receive at those milestones increases over time. In our schedule, recognizing that some workers have been working for us for more than 40 years, which is remarkable and not common. And so our longevity pay plan will, we anticipate rolling that out in December, meaning that in a month's time, when the pay period ends in December, we'll essentially process those longevity payments to employees, recognizing their continuous years of service, meaning that that period of time from when they started last to where they are relative to the milestone. So in this year 1, the rollout period, anybody who's passed a milestone will receive a payment. So if you've been here for 6 years, you'll receive your milestone payment for year 5. If you've been here for 12 years, you'll receive your milestone payment for year 10. And so this first year is going to cost us about $1.2 million as we kind of get everybody paid on their milestones. And then we see in the subsequent years, because we'll be paying out primarily on those milestones, a reduction in cost to about $600,000. And so, like you said, Mr. Chairman, all of these things that we do, from purchasing portable office space to longevity pay plans to a lot of the salary matrices that are being worked on, especially on Deputy Secretary Doolittle's side with our hard-to-fill positions, we are making investments. And I know that, you know, the easiest one to always make is directly into the paychecks of our workers. That's a priority, but we know that we also have to be good financial stewards to get the projects done that our constituents you know, count on us to get done. So we're hopeful that between, you know, these measures and others that we're considering will really help to continue the reduction in our vacancy rate, you know, over the next several months. But I want to thank you all for your support and quite frankly, for challenging us to get some of these things done. And we look forward to letting you know how they're working in the long run. And I think with that, I want to thank Deputy Secretary Doolittle for being there. I forgot to tell him that he's supposed to sit between Commissioner Taylor and the chairman, because Taylor tells the jokes and then I usually pass them on to the chairman so he can share them for everybody to laugh at. But Trent, I don't know if you have anything else you want to add. I'll hand it off to you.
Secretary, I really don't. I think you've covered everything. I have been working really closely with Deputy Secretary Cooper to try to address the things that he's mentioned. I will tell you that we continue to work on the matrix for the highway maintenance workers and the CET classification so that we can kind of standardize pay so that we're not, scavenging employees from one district to the other. The pay also, the matrix that we're putting together also increases the pay, so we'll be looking at, in pay bands and those kinds of things, but we're working very diligently on that, which will take care of a majority of our employees. Standardizing pay and increasing and becoming more competitive. But outside of that, I think the Secretary covered, the things that we've been working on very well.
Again, Secretary, thank you on behalf of the
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I want to thank the senior management team in particular because they understand the organization, what's going to work and what's not. And then when we take an idea and get it out to the masses, they're the ones that got to understand it well enough to explain it. So I do want to thank the senior leadership team for being the soundboard that gets us where we need to be. And even being here this year relative to my first AASHTO conference, it's clear that they've schooled me in a number of ways to hopefully bring up the issues that mean most to New Mexico. So thank you guys. You know who you are. But thanks, Commissioner.
Any money amounts, but if they want to find out where, I guess they can go to, where can they go to find out according to their longevity, how much they're going to be getting?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'll put your cell phone number on the screen and they can call you. And I know you're always eager to hear from employees, and so I'll get you a table, put your phone number on the screen. And actually, Jessica is working with Christine, and we're going to try and do two things at the same time. One of them is we're going to make available to employees, to the individual employee, what we have as their continuous years of service, so that if they have any concerns, they can raise those concerns, meaning we may have miscalculated that. But we're gonna make public on our website in the very near future the information, the table, the date when those payments will be made. So we'll blast out to everyone when that'll go live. And we recently have adopted a tool that not only helps us to get everything out via email, but we can also send the mass text messages out to everybody on our team too when that information is available.
Thank you for joining us. I think that's good news, and if we could give the secretary and his staff a round of applause, because I think that sometimes it might not be a lot, but it's just a way of saying thank you. If we could do more, we would. There's some things that are not within our abilities or within our scope, but we're going to keep trying. So, like I said, this commission will always fight for employees. And with that, thank you, Secretary. before we could take pictures, I'm gonna go to the FHWA, and we'll just go ahead and get that in, and then we're gonna take a 6-minute break. Thank. And this is one of our partners. I've talked about partnerships, and FHWA is a great partner with NMDOT, and without them, we couldn't do much of anything. So we appreciate you being here. We appreciate your partnership.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman Adams, Secretary Serna, Deputy Secretary Doolittle. I'm very pleased to be here this morning. It has been a while since my last visit with you all, but I appreciate that. I have a few things to share with you and the members of the Commission and the public. Let me start congratulating and recognizing the leadership of Secretary Serna and the staff in meeting two big milestones that are requirements from the bipartisan infrastructure law. And they are the carbon reduction strategy that was submitted to us last week. In addition to that, the DOT also submitted the vulnerable road users safety assessment. Those are very, very critical elements for initiative and accessing different funding opportunities that the state can advance through discretionary grant and other formula programs. So I want to commend you and all the staff of the DOT for these two milestones. I also would like to bring to the attention of the members of the Commission something that Secretary Serna indicated and the Commission, the Chairman have emphasized, and is the safety. During the AASHTO meeting this week, the FHWA administrator emphasized and promoted the development of advancing 28 proven safety countermeasures and working in close partnership with the states in advancing this initiative and the development of action plans that help to identify the most urgent needs and their distribution along corridors that will help to accommodate the safety concerns in intersections or in school zones or in other areas, advancing very innovative and creative actions that help to address some of those concerns. Again, that will facilitate the access of federal fundings and some discretionary grants opportunities that will be available to the communities. Talking in that line, also there are two discretionary grants that open for application, and they are going to be closed. Their due date is November 28 and November 27. One related to the Tribal Communities Program. This is a grant opportunity at no cost for the applicants. So it's a great opportunity for them to participate in submit applications. The second opportunity relates to the Bridge Investment Program for large bridge. What that means is those projects which have a cost of 100 and more $1 million. So we have here a lot of initiative, including the initiative Alodunas, which the project, the bridge, carry a significant cost tag, and I think there are opportunities to apply and perhaps compete and explore these options. I want to recognize also the initiative that Secretary Serna and his staff have been advancing in building capacity in local communities. This initiative is called, correct me if I'm wrong, the advancing transportation projects, not only in terms of the local requirements, but also at the federal level. I think this is a great initiative, and we want to commend that because the information that we received is that it had been well received. There were some concerns at the beginning, but those concerns have been addressed like every initiative that is new, and the feedback has been very, very positive. And we want to commend the DOT for that. That is basically what I have for you all today, and I will be happy to answer questions. Thank you.
returning to open session from our break, and we're gonna continue onward with Mark Lovato. Mark, how are you today? Good.
Oops, sorry about that. So the New Mexico Finance Authority has basically two pots of money for the Department of Transportation. It's mainly debt service type funds and project funds. We're currently holding about $54.3 million towards the debt service, with the debt service, a semi-annual debt service payment coming up now in December. The second pot of money is the project funds. We currently hold about $216.7 million, mainly out of your 2021 A bond series. And there was a draw on those funds now in October in the amount of about $20.4 million. Going on to the next page. As I mentioned, there's a semi-annual debt service payment coming up in December. On December 15th, we will use a portion of that $54 million that we currently hold for an interest payment of about $18.6 million. On the left-hand side, you'll see you have total outstanding bonds in the amount of $742.7 million, with maturities ranging from about a year and a half out of your 2020 A bond series to about 9 years, which is out of your 2014 A bonds. So it's a very short portfolio. It does excellent. And the department is actually very well at making their payments on time. So you're always meeting your indenture covenants.
Then I have a question for you before you leave.
Yes,
Unless there's other questions from the commission.
I'm sorry? That's it. I'm sorry.
The only question I have for you is how are you doing in your fantasy football?
Well, I'm currently in second place. Let's see if it maintains.
Thank you. Any other questions? With that, we always appreciate you, Mark.
Thank you.
Next, we're going up to Clarissa. How are you, Clarissa?
I'm good, and yourself, Commissioner?
Good, it's good to have you here.
Glad to be here. So, good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of Commission. If you can turn to page 64 of your booklet, you'll find a request for approval for our FY24 Local Government Road Fund Match Waiver Program. The Local Government Match Waiver Program allows the department to distribute up to $1 million of LGRF monies to entities that can demonstrate a financial hardship, and they can use this as part or all of their 25% match. The projects listed on page 66 have been analyzed by the Department of Finance and Administration and have been deemed eligible for the waiver program. Therefore, I'm asking for approval to issue $275,117 in match waiving to those entities listed. With that, Mr. Chairman, members of Commission, I stand for any questions.
Do we have any questions? Deputy Secretary, what is your recommendation?
Mr. Chair, I would recommend approval.
We have a recommendation. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
So moved by Commissioner Tanjas.
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Lundstrom. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously. Let's go on to B. Action item FY24 Local Government Road Fund Match Waiver Program. Oh, no, that's the one we just did.
No,
Let's go to the next one, which is the FY24 Transportation Project Fund Waiver Program.
Yeah. So if I can have you turn to page 69, we have our approval for our FY24 Transportation Project Fund Match Waiver Program. So the Transportation Project Fund authorizes the department to distribute a portion of our transportation project funds to entities who can demonstrate financial hardship by a review done by Department of Finance Administration. The projects listed on page 75 or 71 were reviewed by DFA, and they have been deemed eligible for this waiver program. Therefore, for TPF, I'm asking for your approval to issue $552,995.42 in match waiver funding to those entities listed.
Give me that total again.
$552,995.42.
$995.42. Okay.
With
Do I,
all-
what is your recommendation, Deputy Secretary?
Mr. Chair, I would recommend approval.
We have a recommendation. Do I have a motion for action item FY twenty-four Transportation Project Fund Match Waiver of $552,995.41? 42, sorry about that.
So moved. Oh. You go ahead, Mr.
I have a motion by Commissioner Chenoweth.
I'll second that motion.
I have a second by Commissioner Lundstrom. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And thank you for your hard work, because I know you're always at it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let's move on to action approval of budget adjustment request, Federal Transit Program. Dave Harris, how you doing today, Dave?
Great, Mr. Chair.
Good to
Thank
see
you
you.
for welcoming me, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. Good to see you. We have a bar here for just over $6 million, $6,077,949. Most of these funds are from discretionary grants where we applied on behalf of South Central RTD, which is down near Las Cruces, for electric buses and electric bus facility. And that's most of these monies, and the remaining portion of the money is some formula money we got after the fact for local subrecipients for senior transportation, as well as capital transportation for buses. The total is $6,077,949. They're 100% reimbursable, and like I said, they're mostly discretionary funds that we won through congressional appropriation through Federal Transit Administration, Mr. Chair.
Any questions from fellow commissioners? That being said, what is your recommendation, Deputy Secretary?
Mr. Chair, I would recommend approval of bar number 15.
We have a recommendation for approval of budget adjustment request, bar number 15, Federal Transit Program. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion, Mr.
I
Chair.
have a motion from Commissioner Lundstrom. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Tonjes. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you,
Thank you.
Commissioners.
You ready for me?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
thank you,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Chairman. I apologize.
No, go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Nice meeting you, Mr. or Mrs. Cisneros. Looking forward to working with you in the future here. Commissioners, I'm here this morning to talk about bar number 16. And FY24 bar is required to increase the budget authority in contractual services category 300 for the highway operations program in the amount of $7 million. These funds will be used to complete roadway preservation projects statewide. These funds are supported by the State Road Fund balance. Mr. Chairman, the reason why I'm before you today asking you for $7 million is part of what some of Deputy Secretary, or excuse me, District Engineer, gave him a bump there. Justin Gibson, talking about some of the issues we had over the year. We've had a long year when it comes to emergency response. We spent a lot of money. Some of the roads, I know D. Gibson mentioned about New Mexico 304 emergency bridge repair, the New Mexico 6 sinkhole, the I-40 channel repair, and the New Mexico 109 emergency repairs. But also in the state, this last year, we also had in District 4, New Mexico 21 emergency bridge repairs. New Mexico 91 in Santa Rosa, we had a structure that caught fire and burned to the ground. So we have a lot of work to do there in District 4. And then also in District 1, I think this is what started it all off, to be quite honest with you, Mr. Chairman, was the I-10, I-25 northbound flyover ramp in Las Cruces, where a fuel truck struck the barrier and ultimately it burst into flames, causing significant damage. A lot of this money, obviously, when we talk about where we get the money to fund these projects or to get them back in operation, comes out of maintenance. It comes from the State Road Fund. So we have to do something about the program that they had initially, where they had it tagged to spend the money for. So some of those projects that we're going to fund with that $7 million, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, are those projects that we lost because of these emergency projects and are still high on our priority list of the districts. In District 1, I already helped Mr. Chavarria with some chip seal money. So I took care of him with some other funds, and also in District 6, Ms. Lisa Vega had some work to do prior to winter to try to get I-40 stabilized before we got the snow trucks on it. So I had funded some other projects out of some other buckets of money, but these are really the four big projects that we're going to use this $7 million for. And one of those is New Mexico 28 down in Francisco's area. Milepost 50 to 60, we're going to do some major preservation in there, do some mill and inlay, try to get that stabilized. As you know, we have a ton of heavy truck traffic down there in Jal, New Mexico. And then in Justin's area on I-40, I just spoke about the channel that we had failed because of that big rainstorm this last year. And we got to do a permanent repair in that area. We put it back in operation. It is a temporary fix for now. So we set aside about $2 million to get a design and get that thing back in operation to a finished status and back in full operation. And then we also have in your area, Mr. Chairman, New Mexico 94, New Mexico 105, and New Mexico 276. Those roads were ultimately a result of the largest wildfire we ever saw, and a lot of those roads were damaged, including guardrail fence, you name it. Mr. Chairman, you've seen it. That was in their program, and we had to use that money on some of their issues that they had in their area. So we're going to put those projects back into their program, and we're going to do a 1-inch hot-in-place recycle on all those roads in the canyon, and then bring their chip seal crew in at the end of the summer there and chip seal them all. That's definitely something we look forward to doing. As you know, a lot of the road was burnt up, damaged, and not only just because of the fire, but because of the heavy trucks and equipment that were in there during the fire. Fire trucks, loaders, dozers, things that went through there to try to help suppress the fire. And lastly, in District 5, we had a project that we had scheduled on US 84 285 in the Poaca area. We have some settlement areas there that are getting really bad. If you pull a camper or a boat through that area, you'll definitely feel it. You may even bottom out. It's something we had programmed and scheduled, but because of some emergency work we had to do, we pulled that funding, so now we're going to get that project back online. So, Mr. Chairman, that is exactly what the money will be used for, and the reasons why we are asking you this morning for that $7 million. So, Mr. Chairman, I ask you for your vote on this bar, please.
Mr. Chair, just one comment. Rick mentioned some of these emergency responses that we had. I am working with districts 1, 3, and 4 to pursue reimbursement from Federal Highway on some of those activities. Some will be short-term, some will be long-term, but either way, it's more than likely that money won't come in prior to Rick and his team needing to do the work. So some of that, again, will be coming back to the department, but outside of that, I support this request for bar number 16.
Thank you. You heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion for approval of bar number 16, roadway preservation? I have a motion from Commissioner Cisneros. Do I have a second? I have a second from Commissioner Lundstrom. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate that. One more.
Okay, we'll go on now to the whip. That's the one we do every year, no?
Yes, sir, it is.
That's our yearly update. Okay.
That's correct.
Action item, approval and adoption of resolution 2023-03, no parentheses, extending the team of use of the jail route as a temporary negotiated alternate southern whip. Go ahead, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. Yes, this is one of the things that we do every year as part of transporting transuranic waste to the WIP facility down in southeast New Mexico. Because of the conditions, excuse me, on 285 on the Texas side, and because of the eroding conditions in New Mexico as well, we have developed a alternate route to ensure that the shipments of waste make it to Carlsbad in a safe manner. So, Mr. Chairman, this morning, I'm going to be asking for the extension and use of the JAL route as a temporary negotiated alternate southern WIP route. On October the 16th, 2023, the DOE CBFO requested NMDOT extend the term of use of the temporary negotiated alternate southern WIP route, known as the JAL route, beyond the termination date of December 31st, 2023, established by the State Transportation Commission in resolution number 2023-01, May, until December 31st of 2024. as justification for continued use of the JAL route instead of the existing state-designated Southern Whip Route, US 285 to US 62-180. DOE CBFO identifies several conditions adverse to whip transportation safety. These conditions include construction projects and heavy oil field traffic along US 285 and National Parks Highway. NMDOT recommends the STC extend the term of the JAL route and allow DOE CBFO to continue to use the JAL route as a temporary negotiated alternate Southern Whip Route until June 30, 2024, unless terminated earlier by notice. And the reason why we did that, Mr. Chairman and members of the Commission, is because we do have some construction projects coming to southeast New Mexico on New Mexico 128, obviously, and that's going to create some difficulties with detours and some other things. So we want to make sure that we can get those shipments to WHIP and make sure they're detoured around construction projects, maintenance projects, things like that. So we're only taking 6 months chunks for now because San Francisco and I feel like June is probably a good time when we might see that 128 JAL intersection come around, and then we'll have to think of something else at that point. But we'll worry about that in June, Mr. Chairman, if you will. So, Mr. Chairman, I do ask for your concurrence on this extension, if you would, please, sir.
If not, Deputy Secretary, what is your recommendation?
Mr. Chair, I would recommend approval of this resolution.
Do we have a motion for the approval and adoption of Resolution 2023-03, now extending the term of use of the JAL route as temporary negotiated alternate Southern Whip?
So moved.
Have a motion from Commissioner Tonjes. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Have a second from Commissioner Taylor. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Now we're going to go on to General Counsel. Action item, proposed amendment to Commission Policy 68, Regional Transportation Planning Organizations. Thank you for coming today.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, Commission. Having the moment, would you like to also address CP 63? That's item 11B and 11C.
Yes. Well, if it is all right with the rest of the commission, we can listen to both of them and then just do one motion on both items. Is that fine? Proceed.
I'm here on behalf of our General Counsel, Stephen Hamilton. In the Angel Fire STC meeting, he brought these two CPs before you guys, CP 68, the Regional Transportation Planning Organization, and CP 63 for the Metropolitan Planning Organizations. There have just been some minor edits, no substantive changes. That way you guys had an opportunity to review those. And today we come forward asking for the approval of the changes to the 2CP.
Okay.
So
Did you want to jump to the next one before we approve that?
we can keep that separate still, that's fine.
Okay, so we'll just go ahead and do the proposed amendments to Commission Policy 63, Metropolitan Planning Organization, CP 63. You had a chance to review it. Is there any questions, comments, fellow commissioners? If not, what's your recommendation, Deputy?
Mr. Chair, I'd recommend approval.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
I have a motion by Commissioner Cisneros. I have a second. I second that. Second by Commissioner Lundstrom. For proposed amendments to Commission Policy 63, Metropolitan Planning Organizational CP3. And all in favor? Aye. Opposed? That carries unanimously. We'll go on to C.
And then that is also a follow-up Commission Policy 68 for the Regional Transportation Planning Organization. Again, Steve Hamilton had given you guys the red line versions of the Angel Fire Commission meeting for your review, and today we are asking for your approval of the CP changes.
Any comments, any questions, fellow commissioners? If not, what is your recommendation, Deputy Secretary?
Mr. Chair, I'd recommend approval.
So do I have a motion to approve?
I have a motion.
Let me just go ahead and read a proposed amendment to Commission Policy 68, Regional Transportation Planning Organization, CP 68. We have a motion from Commissioner Lundstrom. Do I have a second? second by Commissioner Cisneros. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries unanimously.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioner.
Well, thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Commissioners. My name is John Newell. I'm an Assistant General Counsel with the NMDOT. I'm here today to ask the Commission to to initiate a rulemaking action that's required for the transfer of certain transportation-related functions from the Public Regulation Commission to the NMDOT. This is pursuant to Senate Bill 160 that was passed in the last legislative session and signed by the Governor, transferring these functions to the NMDOT. So we have been working with one of the attorneys from the PRC as well as PRC staff to identify changes that need to be made to the rules, as well as looking at rules that we need to initiate in order for the NMDOT to carry out these new functions. So what we're asking today is to initiate the rulemaking for a variety of rules. You will see that on page 94. I'm going to try to sum them up. So we're proposing to modify all the rules, repeal and replace the rules that are in Title 18, Chapter 3 of the NMAC. That's repeal and replace rules 18.3.1 through 18.3.15.15, as well as repeal and replace rule 18.7.1, and then promulgate two new rules. One, a hearing process for administrative hearings that would be required under this transfer of responsibilities, and then also to establish fees that were previously established by statute and which now have to be established by rule according to the terms of SB 160. In terms of rulemaking authority for this, these provisions that are being transferred from PRC to the NMDOT don't come into effect until July 1st, 2024. But under SB 160, a temporary provision was included that allows us to initiate rulemaking action of the relevant rules and to promulgate those rules with an effective date of July 1st, 2024. So we have the authority to do the rulemaking action now and have them become effective when the transfer of duties becomes effective. So what we're asking right now is to initiate the rulemaking action, approval from you to initiate the rulemaking action. They'll be required for us to hit the ground running on July 1st, 2024 with all the rules in place that we need.
Are there any questions or comments from fellow commissioners? You've had a chance to review it. If not, Deputy Secretary, what's your recommendation?
Mr. Chair, I would recommend approval to initiate the rulemaking.
Do I have a motion for approval to initiate rulemaking actions required by the transfer of certain transportation-related functions from the Public Regulation Commission to the NMDOT?
So moved.
I have a motion from Commissioner Chenoweth. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second from Commissioner Lundstrom. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members of the Commission.
Mr.
Yeah,
Chairman.
go ahead.
Commission, I'm back. This time I'm bringing forward the final rulemaking adoption of Rule 1828.6 for the New Mexico Administrative Code, which will be our Transportation Construction Manager General Contractor Rule. In 2022 regular legislative session, SB 84 was passed. It's the Construction Manager General Contractor Act. Part of that act had requirements of things that we had to establish by rule. So this is a new rule that we opened initiation for rulemaking back, I believe, in December of last year. We have worked on the rule. It's been completed. It's been pre-approved from state records. And today I'm before you with the rule, our report, and stand for any questions that you have regarding it. And we're asking for the final adoption of the rulemaking.
Is there any questions, comments, fellow commissioners? If not, what is your recommendation?
Mr. Chair, I would recommend approval, and I just want to quickly comment, I appreciate the team's effort on this. I know they've been meeting a long time. They've been meeting frequently and regularly, and I just want to compliment the team and their effort in getting this rule approved, and I would recommend approval.
And on behalf of the commission, we thank you too and the staff. and let them know. Do I have a motion for final rulemaking adoption of Rule 18.28.6, NMAC Transportation Construction Manager General Contractor Rule?
A motion.
I have a motion from Commissioner Cisneros. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second from Commissioner Lundstrom. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're getting down to the end of the agenda. I can see everybody really sad out there, but it has to come to an end. So with that, I'm gonna, I didn't see the schedule here. I'll go ahead and let you read it, Deputy, and then I'll ask him if there's any comments, and from there we'll go.
So, Mr. Chair, the last item on the agenda is to approve the STC schedule for next year. The schedule pretty much follows what we did the previous year. The one change that I do want you all to be made aware of is the January 11th meeting in Moriarty. We did move that up 1 week from what would normally be scheduled, only because in the past, District 5 hosts that meeting in Santa Fe to tie in with legislative activities. So our proposal this year is to move that up by 1 week and actually hold it out in the field somewhere outside of Santa Fe. So we're recommending January 11th in Moriarty, March 21st in the Jemez, May 16th in Portales, July 18th in Tucumcari, September 19th in Rio Rancho, and November 21st in Socorro. And that will cover all 6 districts.
Is that in accordance with Commissioner's approval? Is there any changes? And I would just like to let the commission know that if something was to come up and you wanted to alter the schedule, it can be done at our next meeting, and we can make a motion, we can move it wherever you want to if something came up. So if there is no discussion and everybody is happy, then do I have a motion to approve the STC 2024 meeting schedule?
My calendar now. I make a motion that we accept the calendar as printed.
We have a motion from Secretary Lundstrom. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Cisneros. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries unanimously. Before I adjourn the meeting, I know most everybody's left, but on behalf of the commission, we want to wish you and your families a very, very blessed, safe Thanksgiving and holiday season, because we won't be meeting again. It's been a great year for DOT. I commend all of you for the work you all put in your districts, and look forward to 2024. And so with that, thank you all. Thank you for attending. Thank you for your support. And with that, do I have a motion for adjournment at approximately 11:24?
I will make that motion.
We have a motion from Commissioner Chenoweth. Do I have a second?
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.